All right, and we're ready to go. It's a new episode of Cheat Code Radio, and I am your host, Nicholas Downey, editor at lordsofgaming.net. And as always, I'm joined for. Wow, English. Great. Off to a great start. Introduce
Sorry.
yourself, Ivan.
All right. Hey, I'm Ivan from Multiverse Show, live on Mondays at 7 o'clock. We're here for Cheat Code Radio. We got some cool topics to discuss this week, so let's jump right into it. But I know first off we have to discuss our actual poll results from our last episode. So I have the most recent up to date. Our question was: would you be interested in Titanfall 3? With 0% of the votes. I will say, first of all, my heart feels good for those results of this poll. 0%. No, screwed in pilots. With 11% of the vote, only for 350, or only for 350. And with 89% of the vote, hell yes, Titanfall, baby.
You know, I love our audience.
I know, they're great, right?
Yeah.
Just straight to the point.
Yeah,
No problem.
Yeah, Titanfall, boom. Let's get another one going.
Yep, let's do this. So hey, we need that support. Let EA specifically know you want Titanfall 3, so maybe they'll actually let them do it. So, all right. So we got topics to discuss. We got questions as we get every single week. All right. So first off, this question comes from Paul. Number one. The initiative is partnering with Crystal Dynamics to work on Perfect Dark. Do you guys think this is a bad thing, or is it too early to tell? I'll let you kick it off here, Nick.
Well, I have to admit, this was an interesting announcement because it popped up in my Twitter feed. It was just the initiative announcing it via their Twitter feed, being like, hey, we're partnering with Crystal Dynamics. And my initial thought was, weird. And then I just kept on going with my day. And then it became a much bigger deal as things went on and a lot of people were reading into it and everything else. I am of the mind that I haven't seen enough of Perfect Dark yet to really either be concerned or be happy with this or really have any emotion about it at this point in time. Crystal Dynamics is a good studio. The initiative is working on Perfect Dark. Those are the facts. You know, I've seen a lot of the arguments about, while AAA studios outsource all the time and everything else, this isn't outsourcing. This is a partnership. And the only other partnership I can think of that would be similar to this is Kojima Productions working with Guerrilla Games with Death Stranding. And I've seen not many people make that comparison. Everyone was bringing up the fact that, 14 different studios worked on The Last of Us Part 2 and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The only comparable thing I have to work with is Guerrilla Games working with Kojima Productions in a partnership kind of deal. And that turned out great. So I'm just interested to see what the game is. We don't even know what this game is going to play like yet. We've got a teaser trailer. That's it. I think a lot of people are blowing smoke just for the sake of blowing smoke at this point.
There's a couple things I think about when I think about this. So very similar to you, actually. Whenever I saw the announcement, I was like, okay. Anyway, now something is actually really important. So I just moved right along. But yeah, it's not... I would guess in terms of the partnership, I'm not particularly surprised. We were talking about this before the show. I mean, this is Square. I would say before, it was the beginning of this generation. Oh, last generation at this point. I gotta be saying that. Beginning of last generation with the Xbox One and PS4, Capcom was in this whole position. They were down on the street corner, just turning tricks for any kind of dollar you could throw at them. So this is not. They were throwing exclusives left and right for no matter what. I mean, they were Deep Down was supposed to be an exclusive that never came to fruition. We had Dead Rising 3, which wasn't great. Street Fighter 5, which had just a lot of problems. So I'm not particularly surprised, and I think it's Capcom's turned themselves around, and Square's turn on the corner. They're ready to go, and I'm not really surprised they're putting Crystal Dynamics on this because after what happened with the Avengers and just kind of how they kind of botched a golden opportunity. Well, I shouldn't say botched. They do have a chance to turn it around still with other news that has happened. But I'm not really surprised that Square is putting them on this kind of duty, because now it's, hey, you got to go make us some money, and I think Square is willing to do whatever they want to make up that money for the loss that they had. So I'm not surprised there. And also the connection. Daryl Gallagher came from Crystal Dynamics, so it's not a surprise that he would go to his old studio friends to ask for help. Not a surprise there either. But I do want to kind of rephrase this to something that recently came out. So our friend Jeff Grubb brought up a point saying that it looks like in terms of Microsoft acquisitions, what they're doing now is they're trying people out first before they make the commitment. Supposedly what the deal is like with Contraband, with Avalanche, they want to see how well that partnership goes first before they pull the trigger on acquiring Avalanche. And this may be something similar. So I would not be surprised there, because this is a deep partnership again. So I would not be surprised if they do the same thing, or maybe in the next couple of years you may see something about maybe Square or Crystal Dynamics gets bought by Square or from Square.
Yeah.
So hey, you never know.
Well, and it's interesting you bring up the Daryl Gallagher point, which I saw a lot of people just gloss over. Like, the guy was the head of Crystal Dynamics for 7 years and was the head of product development at Square Enix for another 3. He basically put over a decade in that company before going over to Activision and then the Initiative in 2018. So obviously there's a relationship there, and there's a big relationship there in terms of, you know, the talent and everything else. And like, I see a lot of people understating Crystal Dynamics, because I feel like in the video game space, it's always what have you done lately and not the pedigree that you've had before. Because, like, if you in 2014 had said Crystal Dynamics is helping on a game, you'd be generally excited for it, because that Tomb Raider reboot was phenomenal. And Crystal Dynamics had incredible talent under its roof. Like, people forget that Cory Barlog was part of Crystal Dynamics at one point and worked hand in hand with Daryl Gallagher and was part of the Tomb Raider reboot. Like, he did work on that. So there's a lot of talented developers that have come out of Crystal Dynamics. Yes, the Marvel's Avengers was a weak spot for them, but I also feel like that wasn't a game that they were meant to make, if that makes sense. It feels like BioWare with Anthem. It felt like, hey, we're going to...
I think you remember that.
Yeah.
I think you I remember that one back when I think this was 2017 when they had the announcement.
Yeah.
They had that announcement, and I remember you and I on the show, we were like, what? Crystal Dynamics? Like, that was just kind of a weird thing to do. Like, okay. Odd.
The only thing that strikes me as odd about this is that Square Enix sees more value in letting Crystal Dynamics help out on the Initiatives project than letting them do a new IP or continuing a series or, you know, working on any of their own IP. Now, a nuance that a lot of people missed is this isn't all of Crystal Dynamics, obviously. This is a team that is working in partnership. We have no idea what the size of the Crystal Dynamics team is that's going to be working with the Initiative. We don't know if it's 20 people. We don't know if it's 100 people. We don't know the size of this partnership. So that's just something that we're going to have to see down the road. But I see a lot of people putting their flags in the hill of where they think this is going to land, and I just honestly think it's too soon to tell.
I think, I don't know. My whole issue is like, with the Initiative, I don't really have any dog in that race, so to speak. I just don't. They haven't done anything yet. and announcing Perfect Dark is the most bleh thing I got from them. I was like, oh, okay. And like it felt like I didn't really get any impression out of it. And so like if they were to like to announce tomorrow they're scrapping that project, I'd be like, okay, cool, I don't care.
Well, see, I think the thing with the initiative is that a lot of people, when we started getting those rumors in 2019 that they were cutting their teeth on a remake, a lot of people thought that meant we'd be playing the game a lot sooner. But from all intents and purposes, we're seeing, Perfect Dark's not going to be till 2023, 2024, right? So then we're waiting another full game cycle until we see a new IP from them or whatever the case may be. Um, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings on like the whole why start with Perfect Dark and everything else. Like, I understand the dynamics of it. It's a strong female lead. It diversifies their lineup. Perfect Dark is an IP that was beloved at one point. It's been a long time.
So I mean, you know what I wouldn't be surprised about, and this is pure speculation. We don't know anything here. I just throw it out there. I would not be surprised because the initiative's existed since like 15, 16. Is that right? They've been around for a while.
2018.
2018. All right. So they've been around. They've been around for a good long time, and they haven't worked on anything yet. So I would not be surprised if like Phil, Microsoft, Xbox, whoever else is like, hey, you guys have been around a while. Are you working on anything? No, we haven't started anything yet. It's like, well, we keep buying you people. We keep giving you talent. What's going on there? It's like, what are you working on? And so I'm willing to bet that Microsoft started saying, hey, we need to start seeing some production from you. Like, do we need to hire more people? Or like, what do you got? You got like, what, 90 people? That's enough to start working on something.
Yeah.
I think they kind of like, Microsoft kind of put some like little lit a fire under their ass. Now they're like, shit, we gotta go find someone to work with.
I think part of this too, I think this is part of the culture change at Microsoft. Like, I'm not one of these people that thinks Xbox Game Studios is going to be this whole kumbaya, take your time, take 7 years to make a game, blah, 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 blah. I think what Microsoft is learning right now is that there's challenges that they're going to have to face. I feel like Matt Booty needs someone to work with him because managing 23 studios all globally for one person is a lot of responsibility. And like, we've talked about this before of our feelings of 343 flying too low under the radar for too long. And you can't allow things like that to happen. So I think, and this is me speculating, of course, I think with what Microsoft now understands is if they want to set these date lines where they're like, we need to have a game out now or in the foreseeable future, we want to peg down where we want this game to go. I think they understand they need to up the manpower in order to get it to where it needs to go. And if I was to ever give my best armchair advice to anyone, if there was anyone I could see that would be a fantastic addition to helping manage the Xbox Game Studios as a whole, is Staten by a long shot. Like, you have a guy that you send in to fix games. Why not have the guy monitor your studio culture and how your projects are progressing?
I mean, the next person I would have picked would have been Rod Ferguson, but he's gone.
So. Yeah, he's at Activision Blizzard right now.
Yeah, he's got his own problems to deal with. Yeah. So that actually leads us to our next question on this one. I don't want to those out there. This is actually a follow-up from last week. Similar question. This comes from Chief Reaper. Halo Infinite thoughts. Did you get to play it, Nick?
No, I worked all weekend.
What? Oh my god! I think it's open this weekend again.
Yeah.
So you get a chance. I did play Halo Infinite.
All right, wax me.
So a little bit of context. I don't care about Halo. I don't care. I
don't claim this, man.
I mean, for me, like, I jumped on Halo 3, and like I didn't have a 360. I just played with some friends. Like, we have a slumber party. I kind of then we go play some Halo 3. That was it. But I played. I got a 360 back in 2011. Yeah, 2011, because this will be my 10-year anniversary with Xbox. So when I got my 360, I played Halo Reach for a month. Found out that gold existed and got pissed. Didn't play Halo anymore. Because I just didn't know about any of this stuff. So I just didn't care. So other than that, like, I mean, I played 4, I played 5. I've played the games. Don't get me wrong. I just don't care. I don't have any nostalgia for Halo whatsoever. I do not care. But I played this, and I feel like it was a good blend of Halo 3 and Halo 4, I want to say. Where it was, Halo 4 was more about pickups than anything else. Not weapons, but in terms of like abilities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Halo 3 was more about a balanced gunplay experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they threw a little bit of Call of Duty in there. And it's very subtle things that more than anything else. It feels like you're faster, but you're really not. Like when you're looking at other players like sprinting, they're moving pretty slow, and you're like, I can kill him pretty easy. But then whenever you sprint, you feel like you're going really fast. And it's more about motion blur and so little speed lines and that kind of thing. It makes you feel like you're faster, but you're really not that much faster. And it's little things like that. They also increased they decreased the time to kill on it. Where like before, if you had the assault rifle, you normally emptied a clip into somebody before you broke their shields.
Yeah, roughly, give or take.
About a clip. Now it's like half a clip.
Mm.
Now it's like half a clip. You break their shields, you can kill them in the same clip. And I feel like that's a great balancing point. It's long enough for you to turn around and stop them, but it's also fast enough where you feel like you're actually doing damage.
Yeah, it's similar. Like, I'm not going to piggyback off you too hard here, but similar. I know you didn't play a lot of it, but similar to what they did in Gears 5 with making the Lancer more viable.
Yeah, I played Gears 5.
I know. I didn't know how much.
I may not like Microsoft exclusives, but I play them. Like, they're okay. Like, I can recognize a good game when I play one,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not for me. But no, like, it's the same kind of thing. It's making the base gun viable, so it doesn't feel like it's just garbage.
Yeah,
I like that. Like, I played with some of the other guns and stuff like that. I didn't get to play the big team battle thing that they had around there. I only got to play the 4v4s, which I thought they were great. It was fun. I like the aesthetic more.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very kind of Titanfall-y, I guess. Like, it came off very, very much like that. I don't know. It's nothing tangible. It's slight little aesthetic choices in the machinery and some of the models, but it's very slight. There's no like gameplay anything that's remotely close. But yeah, they nice little changes where it feels like, okay, different AIs to pick from, other stuff like that, I guess. But it's not really. I don't know. It's nice little window dressing. I'll say that much. It's nice window dressing. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Halo Infinite. I'll probably play it when it comes out because I normally do. So, all right. Next question. This one comes from Nintendo. The 4K Nintendo Switch rumors are back. Do you guys know anything about this? Do you guys think they're real? Especially with Nintendo calling out the report as fake. Nick? I don't know.
I hate this. I hate this. This whole 4K Switch thing is, oh my god. So here's the thing. Nintendo is in the process of releasing their OLED Switch. I think that's days away at this point. Weeks. No, it's next week. Next week the OLED Switch drops. They don't want you thinking about the next Switch right now. They don't. They don't want you thinking about that because they want you to buy the OLED right now. So, of course, they're going to come out and say, no, this isn't real. This isn't whatever the case. What I think this is, and it's important to remember, this wasn't people being like, oh, the 4K Switch exists. We've seen one. There's dev kits for a 4K viable Switch in the wild. I think that's true. Because I truly believe whatever the next Switch is going to be, I don't think this is going to be a subtle upgrade. I think this is the next generation Nintendo console. Whether they keep the Switch moniker or not to keep building off the hype that console has, this is the next generation, because you can't go to a 4K powered up machine and then back develop down for the OG Nintendo Switch, which is showing its age even with just Nintendo games right now, nonetheless third-party games. So I do believe there's dev kits out there. I do not believe under any circumstance that anybody knows what Nintendo's going to do or how this is going to release or if this is even close. We're in a semiconductor shortage. It's even admitted in the report right now that Nintendo isn't necessarily hitting the numbers they want to with the OLED. And now they're going to go and make a 4K version? There's definitely one going to happen. But the thing is it's not going to happen right now. Like, the earliest we see this thing, for me, realistically, is like fall 2023.
Hey, I mean, you know more than I do. I gave up on trying to predict anything that Nintendo does with the Nintendo Labo stuff.
Yeah,
I gave up at that point. I mean, they sold just cardboard for $80. I don't know anymore.
you know, that's the thing, though, is like Nintendo, you can't predict. Anyone who tells you they know what Nintendo's going to do next is lying to you.
Yeah.
Like,
we can make educated guesses, but that's what they are, guesses.
Like, you can't even guess. Like, you look at the last Direct, for example. People are like, oh, Bayonetta 3 is going to sit there. Yes, I could keep saying Bayonetta 3 at every Direct until it actually comes through, and they'll be like, ho, 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 see, I told you. But, like, nobody knew... no one knew about the 3D Kirby game.
Nope.
You know, Nintendo always has stuff in their pockets that they just pop in, and people are like, oh, okay. That's real.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's stuff that gets leaked that Nintendo never confirms that everyone's like, oh yeah, that's totally real. It has to be real. Like the Metroid Prime trilogy at this point. They're like, it's done. They're just waiting for the perfect moment to release it. I'm like, y'all, why do you do this to yourselves?
Nintendo, yes, I gave up. There's just no point. Yeah, it's just wild, man. All right. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next question?
No, I don't like Nintendo, so.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, I guess that's a good segue. All right, this one comes from the studio guy. There's been a lot of talk about organic versus non-organic growth in studio acquisitions. Where do you guys stand on this argument? I guess we should probably put a little context to this. So as of today, we know that, well, today of this recording today, here on Thursday, September 30th, so Sony has announced that they have officially acquired Blue Point. Is it Blue Point or Blue Hole? Bloober Team? I don't know. Who? Blue Fang, Blue Tongue, who we got? There's a lot of blues out there, man.
Blue Point. Blue Point.
Blue Point? All right, it's Blue Point. Okay, gotcha. I had to make sure because it's like there's a blue box. What? Oh, there's too many. All right,
you say it 3 times and Hassan shows up behind you.
Blue box. Blue box.
Don't do it. Don't do
it. Man. I can't do it anymore. I'm scared. All right, but no, man. I just, at least in terms of like all the acquisition, I mean, congrats, they finally did something with it. But anyway, it's organic versus inorganic growth. I mean, I think right now it's mostly a fanboy talking point, namely just because it's a, hey, we don't like that the competition is buying the rest of the competition, and they're now making more things exclusive just by default. I think a lot of people are just kind of scared about that, so this is becoming a talking point.
Mhm.
I guess if we kind of like wipe away the motivation behind this question, we could have a real discussion. Um, so I guess the real question behind this would be: is it better for you to buy a studio? Was right? Is it better for the industry if you buy a studio at their lowest or at their peak?
So
I guess that's the real question.
Here's the thing. I've been sitting on the organic and inorganic thing. I've seen Inferno's been tweeting a lot about this, and I've been kind of sitting there and I've been watching people talk about it and kind of mulling it over in my head. And what I actually think this boils down to, like fanboy stuff aside, is its risk management. And what I mean by risk management is this whole organic, inorganic thing is stupid because anyone who's taken even a grade 9 business class knows that there's no such thing as inorganic growth. If your company makes enough money to purchase another company, that's through organic. You made the money, you buy the company. That's organic by itself. You're expanding your horizons. That's not inorganic. Inorganic is if I rob a bank and then purchase your company by by using money I stole from the bank. To me,
yeah. To kind of follow up on that too, like when they talk about inorganic growth, at least in macroeconomic terms, they're mostly referring to government interference, because anytime you have the government involved and they start, increasing spending or something like that, that doesn't grow the economy in a manner that's considered, organic growth, because it's saying, hey, we're just redistributing the money that's already here. So if you were to take out a loan, to use a COVID example, from earlier this year in the States, if you were to take a PPP loan or do an employee retention credit or something like that, and take that money and then expand your business, that would be inorganic growth, because you took money from somebody else that you're not going to have to pay back and putting it somewhere else.
Yeah. So
yeah, that would be inorganic growth. But in this context, no, not really.
Yeah. So what I look at this as is this is a risk situation. So if you buy a studio that you don't have a lot of prior relationship with, you haven't worked with a lot, you're just buying the studio on the pedigree of the studio being good and producing good games. That's what I would call a high risk buy. So an example, and I don't mean this as a slight against the studio because they're fantastic. Double Fine is why I call a high risk buy, because Tim Schafer was quite vocally anti Xbox and Microsoft for a very long time because of the leadership that was employed there, which is fine. They purchased Double Fine. As we can see, the relationship is good. Schafer's happy. Double Fine's doing well. They're releasing games. Bada boom, bada bing. Good. It was a risk, but it was a good risk. Now, what I would call low risk buys is things like Microsoft acquiring Playground Games, PlayStation acquiring Insomniac Games, PlayStation acquiring Bluepoint. These are solid buys that are good investments because they have long building relationships with those teams. And the difference is not all these relationships might not necessarily be as clear. Everyone puts these relationships as, well, they have to have an amazing relationship because they made an exclusive game for them. And that doesn't necessarily work with these relationships. Yes, with PlayStation, for a lot of their studios, they would, before they bought them, they do 1 or 2 games before they bought the studio. Like whether you were Guerrilla Games, for example, was a similar situation to that. Naughty Dog, I think, as well. They did a couple of games for PlayStation before they were acquired. Things like that. Whereas there's other relationships people see, like the one thing I've seen flowing around is, well, Bethesda is an inorganic buy for Microsoft. It's not true, though, because there's a predating relationship between Xbox and Bethesda that's been there since the days of Seamus Blackley being part of Xbox. A lot of people that discuss video games in this space weren't gaming in this time period, or paying attention to this stuff. But Morrowind coming to the original Xbox was a big deal back in the day. Xbox helped a lot with Bethesda on that. And Bethesda and Xbox have always had a very good relationship. So just because Bethesda's massive does not mean it's an inorganic buy. The leadership is conductive together, and it's just because of the size of the company.
And also to kind of piggyback off of that, like, okay, it's different because, like, okay, Bethesda has a relationship with Microsoft. Even like we're not talking about like an exclusive one. I mean, they worked with Microsoft to like put their games on the platform. They worked with them to have mods included in Fallout 4. They've worked with them on several different things, and like, yeah, they've cultivated a relationship with Sony. That doesn't mean that because you've cultivated a different relationship, that the relationship with Microsoft was null and void.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that. Now, a different scenario where that would be inorganic would be like, all right, Sunset Overdrive isn't out yet, and Microsoft bought Insomniac.
Yep.
Where they've never worked with them before.
Yep.
And that would be a big deal at that point. That would be an inorganic buy. That would be a spite buy.
Yeah. Like, for example, to piggyback off that, if you remember a year or so ago...
You can't piggybackception me, sir.
Yes, I can.
I piggybacked off of you.
I piggyback. There's a lot of piggies in this conversation. I'm about to take my shoes off. Joke's on you. I'm not wearing shoes. Who wears shoes in their house? Weirdos. Anyways, that's a different conversation. But the thing is like, it's like when people are like, oh, what if Xbox scooped up Blue Point from PlayStation? Oh, that'd be so funny. That's another thing. Blue Point's never worked on Xbox. I don't even think Blue Point's ever even released a game on Xbox. Why would you buy that?
Like, yeah, you could buy them on pedigree, but you never worked with them before.
Exactly.
You know what they're going to do.
And one thing people don't understand, because I've seen a lot of people go, well, why is Sony buying all these little studios? Like, what are they doing? Why are they just going after all these small? They're locking down partnerships, first of all. Housemarque was a buy, and Bluepoint was a buy, because we all know Tencent's sniffing around. Especially Housemarque, because, you know, there's been rumors for a long time that Tencent's sniffing around Europe a lot. So locking down Housemarque makes a lot of sense. Locking down Bluepoint, who does all your remakes and is now going to be working on a new game, that makes a lot of sense. But what people are missing out here is PlayStation has to output almost 2 times as many games as Xbox because of one factor nobody's talking about. PlayStation VR 2.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
The thing is to make VR viable, and PlayStation VR is incredibly successful in terms of a VR headset. But the thing is that as Quest continues to grow, PSVR continues to shrink. Because right now, PSVR, while it's still getting new games and everything else, it's not the central point of the platform right now like it was in PlayStation 4. We're supposed to be getting a PSVR 2 update. I think they said either late this year or spring next year. I think it was spring next year. I'm not a VR guy, so if you are a VR guy and I'm saying anything wrong, please don't hesitate to correct me. But I think a lot of these acquisitions, a lot of people are missing out on the fact that they've got VR games they've got to make on top of their AAA schedule for the PlayStation 5, because they want to make the PSVR 2 a completely viable platform in itself.
And that's kind of like the point, I think, with the other little piece of news. What was it? Fire Sprite got acquired?
Yep.
And, oh, sorry, no, wait. I want to make sure I got this right, because I got confused about this one. So,
Fire Sprite was acquired by a PlayStation. Like, a PlayStation studio bought a studio.
Yeah. But I forgot which PlayStation studio bought them. That's what I'm trying to remember. It's, let me look it up. I should look it up. Alright. Alright, Fire Sprite acquired Fabric Games.
Yes.
That's what Sony acquired Fire Sprite, and Fabric Games was acquired by Fire Sprite.
Yeah.
But Fabric Games worked on
VR games.
Yep. VR games. So there you go. It just kind of proves your point there. But yeah, going back to like kind of the idea of like buying untested studios. I mean, even Sony's doing the same thing there. Where like, look, they did the deal with was it the Monsters Studio or Firewalk,
Yep.
where they're like, hey, we're partnering with you because yeah, we know you're all devs who worked on big franchises, but you've never made a game before.
Yep.
We're gonna partner with you for a multiplayer game and just see what happens.
Yep. Same thing with Jade Raymond's Haven Studio as well.
Yep. Where it's like, hey, we recognize talent, but we need to see you can do something first.
Yep.
I think Microsoft may be going down a similar route right now. Like I said, we put out earlier in the show with Jeff Grubb saying that earlier. They may do that, but I think it just depends. So,
well, to piggyback on the piggyback on the piggyback on the piggyback, piggyback.
Piggybacking, damn it.
There's the rumor going around right now that Lucid Studios, who did Destruction All Stars, is working on Twisted Metal. Is going to be working on Twisted Metal.
God, can we talk about that for a minute? I pour one out for David Jaffe, man. Like, he was talking about that like a couple months ago. He was like, if they're working on a new game, they haven't told me about it, and if they do, I'm gonna feel really bad. It's like, oops.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of people missed the Jaffe train, unfortunately. I won't say, I don't personally have any issues with David Jaffe. He's a character. That's all I'll literally say. Like, he's not a bad person. I don't have any issues with him. But he is quite the character, and yeah. But yeah, it's weird because you're seeing what you would assume be a premium, like, is a pretty big named IP being handed off to a studio who just had, by all counts and purposes, a flop of a game.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is not confirmed yet. I want to make that clear. This is what I think Video Game Chronicle said. Like, oh, their source told them this. So, I mean, there is a chance it's not true. But
I would,
assuming it is true.
I would also preface this, too, with the fact that VGC is incredibly accurate when they actually put something out. There's very rare occasions where they're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the record because I don't pay attention to them, honestly. So I kind of, if they're right, I was going to say because it hasn't been officially confirmed yet. I'm just covering my bases here. A CYA, if you will. If it is true, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you kind of wish you were consulted, from at least from David Jaffe's point of view. You wish you were consulted, but it's also kind of like, hey, you haven't worked on anything in the last 10 years or so?
No.
Right?
No.
What's he worked on lately?
Drawn to Death. Remember the PlayStation 4 game that launched into play?
We're just gonna forget about that, okay? You haven't worked on anything in 10 years. I'm sorry. That game was boring, man. I tried.
Are you insinuating it should have been called Born to Death?
No. Hey, I appreciate the creativity behind it. It was not very fun. I will say that.
It was poorly balanced, is what I would say.
Yeah. Well, back to the drawing board with him. Really outdated puns for a game. Anyway. But yeah, just back to. I mean, hey, I guess you got to give them something. Like, if they can't succeed with their own IP, might as well give them somebody else's, right? Maybe nostalgia will carry you home. So, I don't know. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
Because God knows if that game doesn't succeed. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Fired.
All I will say, to kind of wrap up the whole organic, inorganic thing. This is the Hunger Games right now. This is a buyer's market right now. If there's talent to be bought, it's going to be bought. Who buys it at this point in time is irrelevant. The thing is there's this whole mentality that, oh, once everything consolidates, there'll be no creativity in the industry. There's always going to be new studios popping up, new independent studios. Look at all the different studios. Almost every 2 weeks now, there's former big name devs making new studios. You've got Gravity Well from former Respawn devs. You've got people that made like the early BioWare games have a studio. Casey Hudson has a studio. All these people are going to be doing different things and making different games. People need to worry less about consolidation. I see so much hand-wringing about it. But at the same time, as they're hand-wringing about consolidation, they log into their Gmail account, produce content on YouTube, and then use the search engine of Google and everything else, and don't worry about consolidation and everything else.
This is what happens. Our industry, we expand and contract, expand and contract.
Yep.
You get the good people in, they stay, they become established heads of their own studios, and they have their own stuff, and then eventually, like, you separate the wheat from the chaff, and this happens all the time.
Yep.
So, I mean, what was it? We had a period of, I want to say the last time we had a period of contraction was like right at the beginning of last gen, I want to say. So we started seeing a bunch of studios, like, or probably the end of 360. Yeah, right around the beginning of 360, started seeing like, okay, Lionhead got shut down. You started seeing about like
Capcom Vancouver.
Yeah, Capcom Vancouver. You saw a bunch of things like, okay, a lot of these places are getting shut down, and then new teams popped up.
Yep.
And new developers show up, and like that's just what happens. It shouldn't be a surprise.
Yep.
So, all right, next question. This one comes from Quantiops. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Now I know y'all ain't horror guys, but what do you think about the announcement that Tango Gameworks is going to be working on a new title after Ghostwire Tokyo with Johannes as director? Is that the guy who did Evil Within 2?
I believe so.
Yeah. So that's Evil Within 2. I mean, I hope so. I hope Microsoft has got them on another project after they just bought them.
Let's just get through Ghostwire Tokyo before we start worrying about what they're going to do next.
Yeah. I will say, like, that last trailer that they showed at the Sony event was really good.
No.
Like, if they had showed that first, I would have been like, oh, I like this. This is cool.
Yeah, I actually have no interest in it. I'm completely off board with it. Like, I'll probably pick it up anyways, but, like, I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Okay, when it comes to Game Pass.
No. I'm not being one of those people.
Oh, are you gonna say it's not coming to Game Pass?
No, I'm not saying it's not coming
until next year.
Oh my god. I can't stand you. I'm glad I'm sitting down.
No, but yeah, I think it looks okay. I'm not like super thrilled about it, but it looks interesting enough. Like I was saying, because before the first time they showed it, the most interesting part of Ghostwire Tokyo was Kumi Nakamura, and she's gone.
Yeah, they were like, hey, here's this really cute Japanese girl who does all of our enemy designs from Evil Within and Evil Within 2. And look how cute she is. Look how charming she is. She's gone. But we're still making this game if you're interested. Everyone, what? Game? What? Hello?
I still can't believe what she does is like her main job. You know what she used to do? She did? I don't think she does it anymore, but I know what she did as her main job during that time. You know what she used to do?
What?
Construction.
Oh yeah, I remember that live stream where she was showing off her like art and stuff, and she was in like a safety vest because she just came back from work and stuff. It's wild.
Yeah, I was just like, wow. But no, like going back to that, like she was the most interesting part of Ghostwire Tokyo, like, even when they first showed it. But like this last trailer got me like, okay, I'm interested. You know, some Japanese centered like spiritual villains. I'm in. I'm cool. I'm good with this.
Yeah.
So I'm not like blown away, but like I'll play it.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. So, but I think the guy who did Evil Within 2, I haven't played Evil Within 2 yet. It's on my list of things to do. I did not like Evil Within 1. And honestly, I'm stuck at one point and I can't get past it. I'm not gonna bother. I'm pretty pissed off.
Evil Within is glorified Resident Evil 4.5. That's all it is.
I don't really care for Resident Evil 4 either. So sorry.
You think you know a guy? I don't really.
I came to it really late. Keep that in mind.
I don't care about Halo. I don't like Resident Evil 4. Who are you?
I mean, the only reason we like each other because of Fallout New Vegas. Let's be honest here. That's all we got.
And the more Doc tweets about it, the more I realize it's not that great of a game, and I get sad about it.
It was great in comparison. Always remember that. It was great in comparison. But no, I just don't. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that one. I'll give Resident Evil. I'll give Evil Within 2 a shot eventually. But no, I thought it's okay. Yeah, I'm not a huge horror guy, so I'm not. I don't know. That's a Sam question, really. That's a Sam. That's the Resident Evil coalition on Multiverse, really. That's a question for them.
Yeah.
So. All right. Last question. All right, you ready?
Yep.
This comes from our friend Unlit Earl, who is making his 4th or 5th appearance at this point. Well, Sony put the ring on it. Blue Point's officially part of SIE, and that means no exclusives for Xbox from them. What do you cheaters think? Who is Sony gonna get next?
No Look, I'm gonna say this at this point. I think predicting, now that the obvious ones are out of the way, Housemarque and Blue Point, now that the obvious ones are out of the way, I think I would say good luck at predicting who PlayStation's going to buy next. Because, honestly, no one knew who Nix's software was. No one really knew the other acquisitions this week. That doesn't decrease their talent or take away from anything, but I'm saying Sony is looking outside the box for their talent, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because you never know. Maybe this small studio could be the next Naughty Dog. But I think that's the way they're looking at it, is they're looking outside the box. In terms of the developers they want to work with.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I'd probably go with what you were saying earlier. I'd probably guess they would pick more PSVR-centric studio. I don't know who that would be necessarily, because that's one realm I don't really look into very often. I just look here.
I think the biggest, and like I said, I don't know if they were in the table on this. I can't say, but the fact that PlayStation didn't acquire the Beat Saber devs or Ready at Dawn is 2 of possibly the worst missed acquisitions for them when they are trying to sell a VR headset. And the Order 1887.
Yes, the Order 1887. We needed that.
Yeah. You want to get Ivan day 1 on a PS5? Order 1887, baby.
Okay, I misread this title. I'm looking through VR devs. This guy's a Dream Match Tennis VR. I read that as Bimbo Soft. It's Bimbo Soft.
The Bimbo Soft. There's a joke there that I'm just gonna leave alone.
Yeah, no. Anyway, yeah, there's not much going on there. I don't know any guys here that would be like, all right, yeah, those are definitely the ones to get. I'm just looking through names. I don't know, maybe Harmonix, I guess. I don't know. Jeez.
Yeah.
Anyway,
other than that. I definitely think it's going to be more outside the box buys for PlayStation. People need to relax a bit. Like, it's okay that they're thinking outside the box. I actually like a lot of the acquisitions they've made because they kind of make sense for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And just people need to realize that PlayStation and Microsoft have different end game goals for what they're trying to do. So they're going to make different acquisitions.
Yeah. don't know. Right now, I'll say like with Sony, I'm not like thrilled with their lineup. At least the announced lineup with next gen titles for them, because it seems like all the stuff they have lined up are just sequels to stuff that came out last gen and timed exclusive deals for other stuff for new things.
Mm.
And like I hope in the years to come that's wrong. Like the one thing I will say about Sean Layden, and by the way, I want to mention congratulations to Jabari on getting Sean Layden on his show. Because he's one of our long term rivals slash friends over the years from our shit posting days in various Facebook groups. But he was able to get Sean Layden on his show, and that's awesome. Congrats to him. But yeah, I think Sean Layden, like his legacy will go down as the creative guy, the creative head for them, because under his leadership, a bunch of games came out, bunch of brand new IPs or reimaginings of old IPs, and that is great. I think he should definitely get a lot of credit for that, and I'm glad he did what he did. But what I'm afraid of is that everything later now is just going to be sequels and only sequels.
So,
And if they're not sequels, are franchised IPs that already exist.
so what you're worried about is that it's going to be like, okay, well, Naughty Dog's going to do Last of Us Part 3, Sucker Punch is going to do Ghost of Tsushima 2, et cetera, basically.
Yeah, or it's going to be like, all right, here's Uncharted 5 or Naughty Dog, or here's Last of Us Part 3 from Naughty Dog. And,
Right.
Like, things, those are the only things we're going to be working on from now on. It's just going to be exclusive. Well, not exclusive. Well, yeah, yes, exclusives. It's just going to be sequels.
Well, I agree with what you're saying at its base principle. Like, I want to see these bigger teams do new stuff. But what I think what PlayStation is doing is they're using their big name IPs with their big premium studios that they control to create the blockbuster lineup that people know name brand wise. And then they're stretching their wings in other directions with smaller deals and everything else. I think that's how they're doing their catalog. I don't necessarily agree with it 100%, but I think that once we get into mid 2022 and we start seeing these things kind of fall into place, once we get past pandemic, whatever that looks like, structure that we're in right now, I think it's going to make more sense. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I still think I have a hard time arguing with their direction because everything they've put out, I've enjoyed.
I'm not saying it's a wrong financial direction, especially capitalize on the success of what you got. I definitely agree with that. I think they're making the right financial decision. I just don't personally like it. I wish that they were still keeping up the creativity function of it.
Yeah.
And then go back and make exclusives or exclusive sequels. I think okay, the idea I like point towards is like Pixar, where Pixar they had like 10 great ideas and made 10 great movies, and the entire time only made one sequel.
Right.
And that was Toy Story 2, which again, that's even a weird story because that was supposed to be a direct-to-video thing originally. So I if there was a way to do that and say like, hey, I'm going to do that, I would like that, but I can't be mad at them for making money.
No,
I can't.
And see, I understand too. Is like as AAA games become more expensive and development costs more and more, you need those guaranteed winners more and more. And I understand that. And like, I'd be an idiot and be lying if I said, I'm not excited for the next God of War. I'm not, et cetera, et cetera. What I hope is what PlayStation's plans are for the future is I hope they're adopting the multi-team model, similar to Xbox and other big studios. So like, yes, Sony Santa Monica is working on God of War, but also they're working on something else. Like, yeah. That's a model I want to see. That's what I want to see from the big three, because they have so much talent in these studios. I don't want it all locked to one game. Like, it's the one thing I hate about Rockstar now.
They do one thing.
It's like everybody's doing GTA 5. Okay, now everybody's doing Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just, it's not what it used to be, and I understand times change, but there's no reason we can't get some of these smaller Rockstar games anymore.
Yeah. So I get a little moment to brag here.
Yeah, boy.
All right. So last year in December, I said something on my old Twitter account which got deleted. You know what? Now I look back on it, it was probably Square taking me out.
Oh my god.
I told everyone Marvel's Avengers was coming to Game Pass. Didn't say when, didn't say anything else about it. Oddly enough, no one asked any follow-up questions to this. Like, at all. I remember, like, a couple articles got written about it, and I was like, weird. No one asked me for comment or anything. They just said, all right, it's going to happen. And, what was it? I got mocked because back in April, they announced that they were doing, like, an exclusive time frame with Crystal Dynamics was doing an exclusive time frame for PlayStation Now. And lo and behold, 2 days ago, on September 28th, 2021, Xbox announces that Marvel's Avengers is coming to Game Pass. I'm gonna need some I told you so's shipped, signed, sealed, and delivered to certain individuals at this point. So yep, you can praise me. I get insider status, officially more reliable than Tidux. Although all you have to do is be right about one thing, and you're pretty much already better than him. So, I think I broke a dick.
You're not wrong, but I don't like it.
No, so haha. You can learn what to do. When I tell you something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Oh,
hold on to that. Hold on to that L.
All right, incoming vague Foxy style tweets. PlayStation will announce something next year.
PlayStation will announce a new exclusive.
It will rain this fall.
Horizon Forbidden West will be delayed. It'll happen. Just wait.
I'm not putting any energy into this, because if you turn out to be right, I'm never going to hear the end of it.
Well, someone's got to bring some credibility to this podcast.
Look, okay. No. This is a PG show.
It's PG-13 technically.
Yeah, well, all my languages are, and you know that.
I know. That's why we roll that way. So, yeah, I don't know. I just talk it out my butt. So, we'll see what happens, though. If I'm right, clip this. So, all right. That's all I really had to say about it. I was right and you were wrong. I was right and you were wrong. So, that's it. It's out of my system now. I'm good.
Sure.
All right, we have a main topic this week, don't we?
Yeah, it's actually one I don't know a whole lot about, honestly.
I'll be honest, me neither.
Oh, good.
It'll be great. Two people who don't know what we're talking about are going to talk about something important.
Isn't that the main principle of a podcast? Two white guys talking about stuff they don't know about? Like, isn't that? No? Okay.
Hey, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. All right, I'll tell you what I think happened. You tell me what you think happened, and between the two of us, we might get it right.
Okay.
So, all right, so Phil Spencer was on an interview with Yahoo and some place called The Grill. I don't know why they call it The Grill. There were no grills or hot dogs or anything involved there, so Phil for some reason, the CEO of Take-Two was also there, and they were telegraphing that Microsoft's going to buy Take-Two because Phil was wearing a blue shirt and a black jacket or something like that. So, and also 30 million Game Pass subscribers. I don't know. I have no idea what happened.
So, from my understanding, okay, from what I know, and this is just based off a few tweets because I never actually saw this article because the interview itself has been pulled, which is
it has been pulled. I watched like 30 seconds of it.
Yeah, no, apparently it's been pulled.
Ooh.
Supposedly. I saw a bunch of people saying they were getting 404s and everything else when they tried to get to it.
Can I find the thing?
Well, if you can find the thing, maybe we'll know what we're talking about.
Let me see. Keep going.
So,
keep spitting nonsense and see what happens.
From my understanding, what happened was I don't know about Take-Two Interactive Acquisition. I'm not going to buy into anything like that. Like, until I see the CEO of Take-Two on Phil's shelf, I don't believe any acquisition rumors. But what I did hear was the whole PlayStation's at 30 million, or not PlayStation, geez. PlayStation's at 30 million Xbox Game Pass subscribers. What? That's a statistic. But the supposedly he brought up that the fact that Xbox Game Pass was at 30 million subscribers, and then this interview or whatever got pulled or something. I've seen a lot of people trying to super read into this because, of course, we have to hyper read into every little detail. You know, Phil's wearing blue socks. Does that mean they bought PlayStation? But I think ultimately this probably got pulled because he disclosed information in this interview that Xbox simply doesn't want out yet. I feel like Xbox is waiting to flex the Xbox Game Pass numbers after Halo Infinite's launch.
Find the thing, man.
I told you. I told you they pulled it. It's gone. It don't exist no more. It never happened.
Never happened. Damn. Why are we talking about it then if it didn't happen?
Because it happened.
Yeah, so just a little bits and pieces. I'll just pull what it says. So yeah, Strauss Zelnick and Phil Spencer sat down with the Wraps editor-in-chief Sharon Waxman. So Strauss Zelnick kind of like let it slip. He says, last time I think we checked, he got around 30 million subscribers, Phil, right? Something like that. And then like he kind of like pointed to Phil to reveal that figure. Phil's like, well, the last public number we announced was 18 million. As it confirmed that Xbox Game Pass has more than 18 million members as of January 2021. So they kind of like pushed it back and laughed it off. That's the part I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So at least unpacking that part of it, I wouldn't be surprised if they hit 30 million. But I don't know if it's going to be... I don't know if they're going to wait until December to announce that, though. I think they would probably wait until, like... I don't know. Not Game Awards. I don't know. Maybe if they do an XO event or something like that. Or just to announce it beforehand, so that way when those games come out, they can really highlight how much of an impact that they had. I don't think it does them well to wait until Halo drops to announce 30 million, especially if they're already at that amount.
No, I don't think they're going to announce 30 million. I think they're going to announce whatever the number's at peak Halo Infinite launch.
I don't know, maybe. But I would think you would want to do it right before Halo launches so that you can highlight, like, look how much it's grown. Bam.
Yeah.
5 million extra people.
But the thing is people kept saying, you know, oh, well, Xbox Game Pass doesn't have any big games, It can't, it can't sustain itself, everything else. If all of a sudden Xbox Game Pass is at like 40 million subs by the end of December after Halo Infinite launches, it's kind of self-proving at that point.
But I would think you would announce like 30 million before that, so you could say, hey, look, it's at 30 million and we don't have any big games out yet, like right beforehand. So it's like, suck it, you don't know anything.
Well, let's be honest here. if you're still in the camp where you're like, Xbox Game Pass can't be successful, shut up. I understand. I get it. Xbox Game Pass is like a catch-22 for me because I love it. It's a great service, but the fans with it are so fucking annoying. There's my one F word for the PG-13. But like, I understand it's so annoying, the mentality that comes with it and all the people, but it's a legitimately great service that benefits a lot of people. And that's why I enjoy it and put up with stupid people.
Yeah.
Like, I have a friend who's has been laid off for the past 5 months, and he's been enjoying and playing games while trying to find work periodically where he can find it. But he's still been able to keep up with newer games because he has Game Pass. That's awesome. That's an awesome part of the service. And if you enjoy it, that's cool. If you don't want it, nobody's holding a gun to your head to use it.
Yeah. And they're getting good games. They're getting big stuff like Surgeon Simulator 2 is on there. The Artful Escape. What was it? Subnautica Below Zero just jumped on there. Heard Sable was pretty good. They got Scarlet Nexus just dropped today.
Scarlet Nexus dropped today, and then add on top of the fact Back for Blood's in less than 2 weeks.
Yep. Like, we got games. They got games coming out. So I'm like, this is not a surprise. I'll let you all. I mean, some of these are a surprise. Like Avengers was 2 days ago.
Yeah, but I think, but that's the thing is like people need to stop being shocked that this is doing so well. Like when you tell someone for $15 a month you get access to all this stuff, it's like Disney Plus, for God's sakes. Disney Plus is a no-brainer if you enjoy Marvel. If you love Marvel, Disney Plus is a no-brainer. If you love classic Disney, it's a no-brainer. It has multiple facets that draw people in. So of course it's going to grow massively and fast. And I love people that are like, oh, it's only at this many subscribers. I'm like, only. Do you know how hard it is to grow a live service? Especially a service like this. Like, you're doing something that's unprecedented, and people can sit there and go, well, PlayStation Now did it first, but PlayStation Now didn't do it in a meaningful way because PlayStation Now still, subscriber numbers are painfully low.
Yep, it's pathetic because they're not willing to do what would actually make it successful, which is put their exclusives day and date on there. If they did that, Game Pass goodbye. Like, it's over at that point because like they have their exclusives and they're given to you for cheap. So that would be over at that point, but they're not willing to do that because they're playing to make bank off of their exclusives.
Yep.
So if you're giving away the farm, like, why would you buy the like what's the term? Why would you buy the cow if you get the milk for free?
Yep.
So anyway, there's that. So there's that mentality of it. So I guess we should probably address, going back to Take-Two specifically, the rumors now that Microsoft's going to buy Take-Two. We've been hearing about this like the last few weeks in particular. I will say this, because I've seen a counter rumor, because every time we hear about this now, every time we hear a rumor about like someone's going to buy something, we hear a counter rumor where the other person's going to buy it too.
Mm-hmm. So
like, oh yeah, Sony's going to buy Take-Two. Oh yeah, Microsoft's going to buy Take-Two. I would say this interview would look very, very awkward if Sony were going to buy Take-Two in a little bit.
All right.
Why are they both there?
All right. So I'm gonna get this off my chest right now.
Yeah, why are they both there? I need to know that reason. Why would they put?
I don't understand why the Take-Two CEO and Phil Spencer are doing an interview together. It feels like they just grabbed two random CEOs and threw them in a room together. Honestly,
you two white guys, you look good.
Jesus.
We need representation. You two white guys.
Yeah. Let's not talk about mainstream media's idea of representation, okay? Okay.
Her name is Strauss, eh?
Oh, no. What? Why? Why are we going down this road? I'm usually the one that takes us down the back roads. Come on.
Time for me to drive.
Here's the thing. Is I need people to stop being idiots for 5 seconds.
Impossible.
Because when we had all those rumors about GTA 5 being a PlayStation exclusive,
GTA 6.
GTA 6, sorry. GTA 6 and BioShock. BioShock was the other one. When those two games were going to be exclusive to PlayStation, all I heard was how amazing that was going to be from certain people and how bad it was going to be for somebody else. Which is fine. I don't necessarily agree with those games going exclusive or going timed or whatever, but that's a whole different conversation. I didn't really have any hard feelings either way. I have a PlayStation 5, I have an Xbox, I'll buy it wherever the hell I can buy it. But then, Take-Two rumors start firing up, and people start talking about, oh, well, GTA 6 will be exclusive because Xbox owns Take-Two. And then all of a sudden, it's role reversal time. This is bad. This is anti-consumer. This is against the gaming industry. This is against gamers' interests. How could they abandon 150 million consoles? How can they, etc., etc., etc. And then all of a sudden, people that were against GTA 6 being exclusive were like, GTA 6, Game Pass, day one, all this other nonsense. Here's the thing. The Bethesda acquisition was exciting for me because I love Bethesda and I love the games they do. But Bethesda was very open in 2018 about they were not financially able to pursue being creative because they had to tailor to make more money, essentially. Like, you know, how many franchises from Bethesda published studios were put on the shelf because of, you know, sales not going the way they were? You know, Arcane had to shelve Dishonor. You know, the future of some of the, like, the Wolfenstein IP at one point was being questioned. Like, and, you know, Bethesda had Fallout 76 happen. That exactly wasn't a good thing for them. So to get that stability back and be part of Microsoft and everything else, and the ability to support the creatives behind, you know, Arcane, Machine Games, id Software, I'm all about that. Take-Two being bought by Microsoft or even PlayStation literally changes nothing. It just means one platform doesn't get to play the games. That's it. That's all that happens. Nothing changes. And I do not care enough about someone not being able to play a game to be invested in Take-Two being purchased. That's just me. There is no purpose to Take-Two being purchased. They have a megaton of money. They are quite clear in what business they're doing and what games they're doing. I don't know. It's just the most boring acquisition that could happen.
I'm of a different mind to an extent. And part of me is like, all right, cool, yeah, everyone should be able to play every game on whatever platform that they have. Part of me wants to say that. Part of me really wants to say that. But the other part of me remembers poli-sci and the concept of mutually assured destruction and several other things. And part of me kind of wants everyone to buy up everybody and have it just be a clear like line in the sand about like, all right, this game is this much. Like, if you want this game, you got to buy this platform. Part of me kind of wants that for a couple reasons. And like, these are more like pie in the sky concepts where it's more like, okay, if you draw a line in the sand, like those terrible memes about like, you can only pick one side. Do you choose Coke and McDonald's and GTA, or do you pick Pepsi and Burger King and Call of Duty? Like, it's like some of those terrible ones. Like, if you actually made questions like that, you would force people to actually have to do something. So like all those kids who like you jump in at least the kid portions who actually play GTA on a regular basis and actually have to like they really care about that, like they're going to have to buy an Xbox if Xbox buys Take-Two.
Right.
They would have to buy an Xbox. If Sony buys Ubisoft, and you would have to say you have to buy, or you would have to buy a PlayStation or play Assassin's Creed.
Right.
And that would be a done deal. You would have to do that.
Right.
And eventually, people, if you really want to play, you would have to own both consoles. And that would kind of force you into that position where you have to do that now. So part of me kind of wants that, but then also at the same time where it's like, okay, if these two groups have everything, they're more willing to start like wheeling and dealing to get certain games to come from the other platform to get that stuff. There's maybe like a couple things left over, but you would have, I feel like there's a chance that we could end up where you could have Microsoft and Sony play nice even though the other person owns the console because they have to. Where it's like, hey, I think we talked about this before, like, okay, Sony, you want your people to be able to play Elder Scrolls 6? All right, give us God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So you can wheel and deal like that. But like right now, there's no real incentive because there's a lot of third-party games. They can go anywhere. But if you end up buying all the third parties up, you're going to see people wheel and deal to get what they want. But that's more high conceptual shit.
Yeah, I don't think, like, I know a lot of people fear this whole, the third-party industry is going to disappear and it's only going to be Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, but I don't see a world where that happens right now. Like, I don't even see a world where Square Enix gets bought. Or even a world where Ubisoft gets bought. I don't see that right now in this point in time. Because for a lot of those big acquisitions, it doesn't make sense right now. I think people need to take the Bethesda acquisition as an anomaly, not the standard.
Yeah. I think you're right to an extent where if anyone's going to be bought, you got to look at their financial situation first. And I think right now, I think Ubisoft's okay financially. Maybe like one or two releases later, they may be in a different spot.
I think they're closing in on their 2018 Bethesda moment real fast.
Yeah. Like I said, they're not quite there yet, but like if the next few games aren't good, like in terms of their sales, they may be there again. But like I think same thing with Square. Like they've had golden opportunities, and we hear every time how it didn't make as much money as we wanted it to. It's a failure to us.
Well, and to kind of counterpoint that, Square Enix's sales expectations are absolutely ludicrous for their games.
Yeah, they are. So we hear about that all the time, and I'm like, I can't imagine why you would have a publicly known high amount for the sales and then never reach those. It just sounds terrible.
Yeah, like, why would you sit there? Like, what was the Tomb Raider one? Like, how many copies did the Tomb Raider reboot sell? And they were like, oh, this was terrible for us. And it was like, what, 6 million? 7 million? Something like that?
Something crazy.
Yeah, but it's like, why wouldn't you set your expectations for argument's sake to be 2 million? And then if you sell 3 million, it's an astounding success. It's the same thing I laugh at people when PlayStation announced the Returnal had like
Oh yeah, they was out for 4 weeks and they sold 3.4 million copies, and they said it did not meet expectations.
Like, it's like Returnal. Like, you remember the whole drama when the PlayStation released sales numbers, and people are like, how's Returnal a mega hit at 600,000 units sold? It's like, because Housemarque probably thought they were only going to sell 200,000.
Yeah. So that sounds better to have a lower public expectation. So that, oh yeah, we smashed it. We're great. Oh, yeah. Public perception anyway. So it's like, whatever.
People do not understand how the numbers game is played. It's the same reason why a lot of finance numbers are revealed in percentages, because it's easier to make things sound good in a percentage.
Yeah. Just weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, so chances. So just to wrap up the question in particular, do you think Microsoft's going to buy Take-Two? What's your percentage? What's your percentage chance, Nick?
I'm take a guess and say it's about 2%.
2%.
Yeah,
All right, right there with your milk. Got
yeah.
it. I'd say 5. And the only reason why I say 5 is because I think it might be a nuclear option for Microsoft. like, I could see them pulling something crazy like that, strictly just because it's like, all right, we're done with the kid gloves. Let's this is it. Like if they pull off like Unprovoked, like Sony hasn't done anything to warrant this. If they somehow pull off them buying Take-Two, and I think if they bought Take-Two, they still wouldn't be investigated for a monopoly or the antitrust laws here in the States. They'd still be under the radar for that. They may have like a question about it, but it'd still be fine. If they were to do that Unprovoked, it would be like a oh shit moment. Another one.
Yeah.
Because that would mean GTA would be exclusive and Red Dead and the rest of it.
Look,
that would be a big deal, and also the Lego games, the rest of that stuff too. So, well, actually, I think it's Warner Brothers who has the Lego team.
Yeah.
You're
thinking TNT, not Take-Two.
Take-Two, TNT, whoever, Telltale, all your T's and your blues, take them away.
To your point, though, like I don't have insider information on this or anything like that, but I just have this gut feeling that
he knows everything. He's just lying to you.
Yeah, no. I feel with how quiet they've been about stuff and stuff that we've been seeing rumored and everything else, I think there's something coming. I'm just interested into what the scale will be of when it's revealed. Because I feel like Microsoft's going to hit some... Like, they're going to be at the Game Awards. Game Awards is going to be a big deal for them. How big of a deal are they going to make it becomes the question.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the interesting part. We don't know. That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Jeff Keighley's getting a free meal out of it, so let's see what they give him. But yeah, I'm kind of like, all right, let's see what happens. But like I said, I think if they were to acquire Take-Two, that would be like we're not playing around, like we're going for blood. No one's gonna live after this.
Yeah. It'd be an interesting move. Like, it's not a move I'm personally a fan of, but if you want to absolutely destroy the internet, that would do it.
Yeah. You say GTA is exclusive to Xbox, it's over. Like, at that point, I don't think there's anything at that point Sony could do to counteract that. I can't think of any studio they could buy that would actually matter. Like, I really can't think of anybody. Like, you could buy all of Ubisoft, and it would be like, meh, whatever.
Yeah, the casual appeal of Take-Two Interactive's catalog is massive. It'd be like buying EA. Yeah, it's like buying EA and getting all the sports titles.
Yeah.
But I think if we ever did see a Take-Two buyout or an EA buyout, I think GTA would kind of fall into the Minecraft realm of ideas, where the mainline game would stay multi-plat because it just makes so much money. And then you do spin-off games and maybe make them exclusive or whatever. But I do not, as a principle, and I don't care who does it, I don't even care if Nintendo does it, I do not want to see GTA walled to a platform. I just want to make...
Well, I think you mean more walled from a platform.
Yes.
Because if Microsoft gets it, it's going to stay on PC.
Yeah.
There's that.
Well, and also if PlayStation buys it, it's going to be on PC too. Because they're not buying PC porting studios for nothing.
Yeah, no. I'm still waiting for the announcements that all the new games that are coming for PS5 are going to be on PC as well. I'm still waiting for that one.
Soon. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah, and they're going to do like a bunch of them all at once. That's the thing. They're
I
just gonna
I
rip
I,
the Band-Aid off.
I feel like we're gonna hit the point where it's like 6 months after, and then 3 months after, and then day and date. I feel like they're just slowly peeling the Band-Aid off, and there's nothing wrong with it. You can still enjoy your game day one on PlayStation 5, but
Yep,
they're pulling at the Band-Aid.
that's true. But I think you're right. They're gonna do it, but by the end of the generation, it's gonna be day and date.
Absolutely.
Tony Polanco's gonna owe me a milkshake.
Who's gonna owe you a milkshake?
Tony Polanco.
Oh, okay.
Because I told him it was going to be day and date. And he's like, never. I was like,
See, the thing is with the game industry now, you can never say never. There's absolutely no circumstance where nothing might not happen.
yeah. So, anyway, let's do our poll question for next week. We're going to post this tomorrow morning. Who do you think Microsoft has next in their sights for an acquisition? A. Warner Brothers. B. Take-Two. Or C. PlayStation.
Oh, jeez.
So, let us know once it goes live. It's posted on Cheat Code Radio on Twitter. All one word. You guys can find us on there. So we can go ahead and get that done.
That's it.
All right. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Do our outros, I guess. How do we get these things again?
I don't know. You think I'm the professional here? Jeez.
Oh, you're the boss man.
Boss, man. Boss.
You have the superior beard. You're the boss.
Is this how this works?
Yeah.
Oh my
Otherwise,
God.
I'll just
Okay,
be
I'm gonna
the
start.
boss.
I'm gonna start.
How do you think Jason Ronald got in charge?
That man's got a beard.
How do you think Seamus Blackley got in charge the first time?
So I'm gonna start invading podcasts. If I have the best beard, I now own that podcast, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. He who has the biggest beard speaks loudest.
All right, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Y'all weak bearded podcasts, better watch out. Y'all know who you are. Ivan, you want to do your outro there?
Sure. I'm Ivan Silo. You guys can find me on Twitter at AnchorV2. I repurposed the Multiverse Show channel, so you can find me on there. You can find me on Xbox at AnchorManV2. You can find me on PlayStation there as well, although I will say my trophy count is weak. But I will be doing a big trophy run once I get a PS5, probably next year, a year after, maybe. Who knows? Depends on when their good games getting announced and actually coming out, so it just depends on that. Other than that, yeah, pretty straightforward. I'm going to go play some Avengers, and I'm going to stream so you guys have content for next week. So, fun times.
Playing a bad game just because it's on Game Pass.
Content, man. Content. That's all it's about.
Well, at least Luke Laurel will have someone else to play Avengers with. I know those lobbies have to be pretty empty.
I don't know. I just played the first match, or first match. I played the first level, I guess, where they go like, "Oh yeah, it's Avengers Day." It was pretty good. That was fun. But I heard that's the best part of the game, so we'll see how that goes.
No, don't get on Marvel rant. It's outros. It's outros, baby. Outros.
Baby, let's roll.
I am your host, Nicholas Downey. You can find me on Twitter at Nicholas_Downey. You can find my written work at lordsofgaming.net. I've got a Deathloop review this weekend, and then I'm also working on a review for Chernobylite as well. So, yeah, lots of stuff coming up, and Alan Wake next week too, and there's a ton of stuff to play. So enjoy it, have fun, be good, or don't. I don't care. I'm not your mother. So have a good night, day, morning, whatever. Just be good or don't. Bye.